My name is Victoria Cochrane. I am head of one of our Sub-Saharan Africa units at Berghof Foundation. I've been at Berghof working largely with women in a number of different contexts for quite some years now and looking at women's leadership, particularly around peace building. Berghof, generally, we work towards bringing the communities together. So it's less about discrete undertakings, discrete support, but really the 10 years that we've been there, I think really shows that we're working to support on the long term and to bring about a transformation of these communities, the relationships in the communities. And the networks are so important because they are a rare opportunity in most situations for women to collectively come together, to have a safe and open space for dialogue, to reflect on challenges that they face as peace builders, as leaders in their communities, but also to collectively think about and strategize for ways that they can increase and amplify their voice, the way that they can support women who are already in leadership positions. And they also give, I think, a greater, the strength in numbers. And these really are spaces that show that firsthand. There really is a great power in that, of hearing that you share the same challenges, but the same visions, learning what went wrong and what went really well, and adapting that to your context. I think women leaders bring different qualities, but also often play different roles. So we've heard in many studies, there have been studies, we've seen it firsthand, that women, when they are part of peace processes, particularly at the higher levels and in the decision-making discussions, they do bring a different perspective. Women bring with them an understanding of family structures, of community structures, and they quite often play a very, very different and complementary role to the other women, but also the other male leaders who are sitting in those at the tables. And listening to the women in the workshop over the last 2 days already, that's very clear that women have capacities, they have skills. It's about recognizing those, making them visible, and making the number of women leaders that are in a number of these contexts visible and available. It's incredible to see how the women in the workshop have been able to mobilize their communities, and also the linkages, I would say, between the older generation, the more experienced leaders, and the youth, and the way that they're able to exchange. I think that has really been a standout and a highlight for me. Some of the entry points that we've seen where women are really taking the lead and the forefront and utilizing to their advantage has been around environmental peace building. And we've seen that the women in many of the contexts that we work in Somalia have used environmental peace building as this kind of gateway and entry point into leadership. I think environment and climate change has been affecting everybody in Somalia, and so it's a common theme that can draw people together. And women have really been at the forefront of addressing these. And I think it's incredibly important to recognize the value of peer learning spaces. I think many of us learn and exchange more openly with women who are in similar positions to us. I think it can be incredibly isolating sometimes being a leader, let alone somebody who is leading in a peace process or who is facing what we're seeing in Somalia, these effects of climate change, environment and climate all coming together, and where women are really at the forefront of this. It can be a lonely and isolating space, and workshops like this provide a space where women can come together and really learn from the experiences of each other. We often hear the lack of funding to answer some of the challenges that the women identify in their communities as being a significant problem. And I think that having development actors, for example, work with peacebuilding actors to provide women's economic empowerment alongside women's peace leadership is a really strong step forward.